and welcome to Career Talk, where you have Alicia Madison and Shay Calhoun, and we're bringing to you professional career people to talk with you about how they've either transitioned to a new career or how they're scaling the career that they're in. So we welcome you to our show. Shay, what is this, about our sixth show?
I know, it doesn't feel like it.
Right, I know, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we've just been doing this a short while, but we're so excited for our guest today. She's just come into the studio, so she's not in here with us yet, but I want to tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Itika Oldwine, and she's had an exciting career that we're going to talk about when she gets here, but she's actually had the opportunity to work for Oprah Winfrey with OWN.
Now, you know that's all we really want to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
What was like working, she started off working with
and here she is. She's so beautiful.
Oh,
so,
and she brought us flowers.
Flowers. Hey, dump these.
A little bit about what you do, and obviously, you know, my favorite part is that you worked for Harpo,
I did.
Oprah, so everybody's going to want to know a little bit about that. But to get started, you graduated from UCLA undergrad, right?
I did.
What was your major?
I majored in, it's so funny, I majored in political science. Did you ever think you were going to be an attorney?
Yeah, I did too. I did.
I absolutely did.
So it's when you think you're going to be an attorney, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to go to law school, and then I'm going to be an attorney. So that was my story.
And then after that, what'd you do?
So I knew I wasn't going to be an attorney because while I was at UCLA, I worked for a law firm. So I was like, okay, I don't know anything about attorneys. I'm going to work for a law firm. I worked for a law firm, and it was horrible. I hate to say it like that, but it was horrible. It was horrible. The people were kind, but I just couldn't relate to the culture. And so I ended up I decided that I needed to find another career path because I didn't, it didn't fit. So I ended up going to University of Chicago.
It's cold there. Why did you go to Chicago? No offense. I love Chicago.
Well,
it's a beautiful city.
I lived in Chicago too. It's worth it.
Yes.
Chicago's fun, so you get over the weather.
Yes. So Chicago was, for me, the perfect place to go because I was interested in studying race and politics. And they had a very, very amazing professor there. His name was Charles Dawson. So Professor Dawson was someone that I met while I was at University of Virginia. I went to a lot of different schools. I was at University of Virginia doing a fellowship, and I just really enjoyed, you know, what he spoke about, what he was teaching, what he was researching, and so I decided I wanted to go to University of Chicago, which is like, oh, I just decided to go there. But I worked really hard to get in, and because I wanted to work under Professor Dawson.
But isn't it interesting how one person can completely change the trajectory of your life, and you're like, you will go to another state.
Yes.
I moved with a company to New York because the CEO was so inspiring that I drank the juice. I was like, I'm moving to New York. So it happens like that.
Yes.
So you went from law and you went to Chicago and now you're there.
Yes.
And it's cold. And
it's
so
cold.
what did you do?
So cold. So when I got to Chicago, I had never lived in those elements. You know, I'm from California. I'm a California girl. I lived in the Bay. So it was a little like, okay, it got cold or like, you know, overcast, a lot of rain. But I never had like winter anything. I didn't have winter boots, winter jacket, thermals, nothing. So when I got there, it was like, I remember it was like maybe in the 50s. And I was just like all wrapped up in gloves and everything. I was like, and everybody was like, girl,
that's way too much for
or they were like, you better chill out. You better enjoy just wearing a turtleneck because this is going to get real in a second. So when I got there, I was just like, okay, I was just taking it a little too far. So it wasn't so bad, the weather, I have to say, because I stayed very close to the University of Chicago. I walked to school, which is kind of strange because it was really, really cold, but it was, you know, it was close enough. But it was, I really enjoyed being in like a college town. It felt like University of Chicago is in Hyde Park. I felt like a college town. I was very kind of insulated there. So I just enjoyed myself. It was like the hardest thing I've ever done, to be quite honest, but it was a lot of fun.
So how did you go from that into, I mean, really what I want to get to is working for Harpo?
So when I was at University of Chicago, I had always admired Oprah. So I have this story. One of my close girlfriends from UCLA always tells me, like, you told us she was going to work for Oprah when you were at UCLA. And it's so funny because I said it, but it was like, it's just stuff you say. Like, I'm going to work for Oprah. I'm going to marry, like, Tyson Beckford or whatever. You know what I mean? You just say these things.
You dodged the
bullet.
bullet. 1 out of 2 is good.
Right, there you go.
You got the important one, right?
Yeah.
LOL.
You should have said I married Oprah. Okay?
Exactly. I'll be her Gail, you know.
Okay.
But I literally just was kind of talking like that. You know, I was like in my teens and, you know, but I had always had like an affinity for Oprah. I loved what she did, and I really became drawn to her when she brought Ayanna into the scene. I really just love that dynamic. Two Black women kind of like being vulnerable and getting kind of into people's lives. And it was like Fix My Life light back in the day. Like Fix My Life now is a little hardcore. But Ayanna, you know, in her early days, she's like a little full fix. I would be like watching and crying, like, you know, she's so right, guys.
And she's so candid.
Yes,
and
and
honest.
so candid. And so that's when I really had an affinity for her. So I probably said that during my like one of my like Ayanna moments. So when I got to when I got to University of Chicago, I was so close to Oprah, and I have to say, it was so hard going to University of Chicago. It was very, very challenging, and I needed, because I was so insulated in the Chicago University of Chicago life in Hyde Park, I needed to get out, and I decided to get an internship. And my internship naturally would be at the Oprah show, because obviously they were hiring interns. That was in my mind, and they were. So I applied for an internship there, and I got hired as an intern. And in those days, I love telling the story, I didn't have a cell phone because nobody had cell phones then. Like, it's like, you know,
don't date us. I don't know about you, but I'm
honey,
21.
black don't crack, honey. So when I got to the interview for my internship, I was like, so are you guys going to call me and tell me if I got it? And she's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, awesome. And so I like caught the bus. I didn't bring a car to Chicago. I caught the bus back to Hyde Park, and by the time I got home, I had got an offer on my voicemail. Like there was an offer, like, but it was a way like you see one beep, and I was like, who is this? I thought it was like, I don't know, like a friend or something. I had no idea, and it was this one message, and they were like, you know, we want to offer you the internship position, and I was like, like it's like one of the many moments in my life where I just am so grateful. I'm like, this is bigger than me, because it just was coming together.
The doors that were
open.
yeah.
So there was no online Indeed or Monster.com back there. So it wasn't like, or LinkedIn. So I just did everything, and I continue to do everything, but especially then I just did everything by faith.
Now, when I met Itika, she was working in entertainment.
Yes.
And she was a hard worker. And actually, she took me to, it was a summit, right? Like that Oprah was doing.
Yeah.
Where she had all these different symposiums, these amazing, kind of like the Bella Network, all these amazing people. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I want to do this, right? So you're in entertainment, you're working all these different jobs, you're always working. I remember always seeing you working. And then when I heard that you had kind of segued into floral, I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was your hobby.
Neither did I.
I go from Oprah to floral, so that's a real passion.
Well, I will say this, I probably never noticed flowers. Well, okay, first off, my grandmother would go and get fresh flowers every weekend. So I do remember that. And she would have this thing where she would say, I buy my flowers while I'm alive because I don't want people like surrounding me with flowers when I die.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I want to buy my flowers while I'm alive. So every weekend we would go get flowers from the local florist, and she would put them on the coffee table, and that would be it. Like, like when internet started coming around and my grandmother started like using the internet, her passwords were always like flowers.
I hope that's not her password now.
I'm not gonna tell you which ones, but yes, I know there. So so she just had an affinity for flowers. So I will say that flowers were always there was somewhere in my mind. And then when I started working at the Oprah show, she would throw all of these vast parties, and very well. She had event producers that would put beautiful things together. I remember she loved using
elaborate.
Preston Bailey. And so it was the first time that I saw like arrangements and saw how they just transformed a room.
Yeah.
And I would be in the parties and I would be like, oh my God, these flowers are beautiful. Like I had never really attended parties like that. I started working with Oprah when I was really young. I was 21 when I started interning with her. So I'm like, oh my God, this is so, gorgeous. So I remember seeing beautiful flowers, and I remember kind of paying attention to flowers moving forward. And we did gifting a lot with flowers, and people would send us flowers. So that's when kind of flowers were introduced to me. But I never thought to make flowers. I never thought to arrange flowers. And I definitely never thought to go into business making flowers and that came later.
So that I think is important, especially for our viewers. You have a lot of women who are looking to transcend or turn their hobbies into an actual career. And so we want to talk definitely a little bit about how you did that, because I mean, it sounds scary to me to just do that. You just opened last week, Old Vines. I love the play on old wine and Old Vine Florals.
Yes,
downtown. So congratulations
thank you,
on
thank
that.
You, thank you.
On your storefront. So how did it start for you?
Wait. So you actually have a storefront?
Yes.
It's not just you running around with your car and flowers.
No, it was me just running around my car and flowers up until less than a week ago.
And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you.
Shay came to our launch.
Where's your location?
So we're at 132 West 7th Street in downtown LA. We're between Spring and Main.
Okay, so now tell us how you transitioned to the flowers.
So I was doing marketing. So when you and I went to I think it was like a Super Soul Sessions conference at the LA Convention Center, I was on the marketing team working for AEG at LA Live. And so that was my kind of foray into marketing. And I really enjoyed marketing. I marketed for everything that happened at the LA Live campus, from Clippers games to MTV Music Awards to Grammys to premieres.
I mean, we got a lot of hookup. Let me
So
know.
you actually were working for the LA Live, not just the teams.
Yes, I was working for AEG, who owns
AEG.
LA Live. So we did marketing for everything that happened on that campus, even the restaurants, Fleming's, the Regal Theater. So in the marketing world, it was like I was getting my PhD in marketing. I was back at University of Chicago, honestly. I learned everything there is to know about marketing while I was at AEG. So I left and I started working with my own clients after a couple of years. And one of them was a florist. And he's a very, very, very prestigious florist. He worked out of the Four Seasons, Beverly Hills. And so for 2 years, I did the marketing for his company, but I also segued into being like a general manager, because it just the job kind of required for it. And I'm one of those people, like, if something needs to get done, I'll just do it. I won't say that's not my job description. So next thing you know, I'm running this flower shop out of the Four Seasons, Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And I was doing a lot of client relations, so I was talking to the clients on the phone. And this person's clients, I mean, he had Cartier, Louis Vuitton, Chanel. We did everything that happened at the Chateau Marmont. We were the go-to florist for, all of the rich ladies of Beverly Hills, et cetera. So with that being said, I had to get like really, really acutely aware of what flowers were, what they looked like in certain vases, whether, what was popular, what was in vogue. And I just started loving flowers. I was like, I really think you should go with anemone for this one.
A what?
I know.
You were telling him how to do the flowering.
I was telling his clients.
Yeah.
I'm telling Chanel, I'm telling Louis Vuitton, I'm talking to, the people that are coordinating their events and telling them what flowers to use for these lavish events. So for me, it became like, okay, you kind of know what you're doing a little bit. And then I was just rolling. But I never actually made flowers.
Oh, okay.
So when I left there, see how I'm always just kind of leaving, because eventually,
Listen, if it doesn't work, you move on to what works
honey,
for you.
when you grow, you go.
I like that. So we're not telling y'all to leave your job.
Yes.
Okay? Itika was blessed.
Honey,
She had a plan.
But you see, what I'm hearing from this is that every opportunity that you had to learn something new, you took it upon yourself to learn it. And like you said, you didn't just say, oh, that's not my job, so I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
You learned it, and then now it's adding to your life.
Oh, is that a special guest?
We
So,
have a co-host
you
here.
guys, I am a full-time mom. My baby is a little under the weather, but she loves hamming it up. So if you can be quiet, we'll let you help interview. What do you think, Addison?
All right.
Thumbs up. Okay.
So welcome Addison to the show.
Oh, say hi. All right. She's ready. Okay.
In case you were wondering,
Okay, Addison.
should Addison, because girl, honey.
We got to
Okay.
interview Itika.
So, Itika, you decided to leave that job
Yes.
and go on your own because you had learned so much.
I had
and you
learned
done
so
well.
much, and I wanted to be. It was time to go. I felt like I had my own perspective on flowers. I had my own ideas of the types of florals that I wanted to create. I had colors that I wanted to use, and vases that I wanted to use, and price points that I wanted to use. I just had kind of my own idea of how I wanted to kind of run the flower business, but it wasn't my business, right? And I was very aware of that. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So soon after I left, I was looking for work. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back into marketing. I'm going to do marketing for this company or that person. And I realized as a marketer, if you know how to market anything, you can do it. So if you know how to market, you can market a waffle maker. You can market Bella. You can, you know what I mean? You can basically apply your skill set to pretty much anything. So my boyfriend, who's so supportive, great.
He's such a great guy.
He is a great guy. He suggested that I go into business for myself. He's like, babe, you know what? You know, you did so well at the flower shop, and you were really pretty much running that place. He's like, why don't you just do your own flower business? Like, I see you're applying for jobs. Like, why don't you just have your own flower business? And I'm like, oh, my own flower business? Like, that sounds crazy. But then I was kind of like, crazy but like amazing, like crazy in like a really good way, like crazy enough that I'm crazy enough to do it. Right? Like
and you met enough people to really have a clientele.
I did, and I had a little bit of a nest egg, like a little bit of a cushion, and I had my partner who was like, I'm going to support you, like you're not going to like fall, I'm going to be there to catch you if this thing just somehow doesn't work out. He's like, but I feel like it will, like I feel like you're going to do good. And he was right. So we launched our flower business. It's called Oldwine Florals, and we worked out of our loft. We live downtown, so we worked out of our loft, and our loft was like a flower shop by day. While he was like at his job, I was like making flowers, and then like at 5 o'clock, I'm like brushing up stems and like putting things away and cleaning vases.
And putting dinner on the stove.
Literally. I love to cook, so it's actually like great for him because it's what I need to do to kind of unwind is to cook.
Are you going to open up a restaurant next? That's what I'm feeling.
See, the only thing is with restaurants, and this is a true story, I watch like those chefs and how like Hell's Kitchen it is, like and it's like flower shops are not like that. They're like, so I just think you should really use this really pretty hydrangea, and if you mix it, like yes, you could say calm. Like I cannot like handle like having to like yell at it's too frenetic, I think. But maybe like a coffee shop that has like tasty bites.
I'm inspired by your story. I think going from I wanted to be a lawyer to I owned my own flower company business and now have a storefront, I think it just kind of shows the guts it took. Someone believed in you. You had the skill set, but you also weren't afraid to kind of take that risk. What is your advice to someone who is looking to, and I mean, for even me, I'm thinking about my own business. What are the steps? What's the advice that you would give to me? I might need to know more about this, by the way.
I'm like, okay, this is really what I would say. It really sounds very simple, but you have to have complete and utter faith. You can't think that it's not going to work. You can't wonder like, well, what if no one orders for my flowers, or what if the flowers that I send are dead, or what if my driver gets in a wreck, or what if my savings is at zero and I have to, I mean, literally, I've had $0 in the bank, and I've had to call out loans so that I can do arrangements for some pretty big clients, and I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this event. And I have faith. Like I had faith that the people that I would call were going to support me and be there for me and trust that they're giving me this loan in good faith, you know? So I would just say, have faith. Don't question, you know? And I think those small, silent little voices that are saying you can't do it, or you're not prepared enough, or no one's going to believe in you, or no one's going to like it, that's not your voice. That's someone else's voice. Your voice is the voice that says you're tough, you're smart, you got this, you're the bomb, you're the best that ever was. That's your voice. The other voices, you have to tell them to shut up.
Yeah.
And that's true. Like, I don't listen to those voices. Yeah. I'll put on some Cardi B, right? That's what she's listening to right now, in case you're wondering. Some Beyonce.
Alicia, like, Cardi B, who's that?
I don't know who Cardi B is. I saw her on with Bruno Mars.
Oh, there you go.
See, I'm getting hip.
Yes, so those are the voices that you listen to. You listen to those voices that are saying, girl, you got this. And then you'll just watch, and the universe will just start opening doors. Like, even today, I was preparing for your show, and I was like getting my makeup done, And I was like so grateful for the guy who does my makeup. Let me tell you why. Because my regular girl went out of town. And then I was like, I need to get my makeup done. So I went to MAC. And I don't really like to go to MAC because you never know who's going to be there.
Yeah.
So I go in.
Am I looking like a drag?
Honey. So I go in and I'm like, is Junior here? And Junior hasn't been there 4 years. Guess who was in the back? Junior. I mean, I know it sounds so like simple and small, but I have faith. I wasn't like, my makeup girl's out of town and Junior's hasn't been to MAC in years, because he actually went to MAC at the Grove. He was still with them, but he wasn't at my MAC downtown. I was like, and Junior's, and I'm just gonna just so I could my makeup done. I was like, I'm gonna go to the MAC, I'm gonna go to my downtown, and I'm gonna ask for Junior. And who was in the back? God spoke it into existence. I spoke it into existence, and then God worked with me, and we got it together. But Junior was there, so I'm just saying, if you apply it to everything, that faith, that inner faith, it will happen.
Self-doubt will have you sabotaging.
Yes.
It has to be perfect or I can't launch this business.
Yes.
But when in truly, maybe you need to scale it down when you start.
Yes.
And be willing to like work out of your home. Maybe you can't start off with a storefront.
Yes.
But maybe the faith part is saying start small and then build that way.
And I didn't start with a storefront. So I launched my business out of our living room.
Yeah.
100%. It's an online boutique. And when I when the universe, because I always say universe, God, it's because it's something bigger than me. I always know that too. So the faith is faith in just everything coming together. When the universe something saw fit for me to have a store, then the stars aligned and we got an investor and I had a store. But it just happened that way.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I've called 100,000 people and asked them to help me get a store, or I worked, for 5 years out of my living room and I finally got a store, or we put our house up and I got a store. I really got in tune with what was going on, and the universe came together, and the person that was able to help us get to the storefront came to the forefront, if that makes sense.
And so it's that concept of you ask.
Yeah.
Because you stayed open. So
Yes.
you always had it where they say, your palms are open, which means you can receive as well as give. So you
Yes.
stayed open. And then you also leveraged, it sounds like, your community to give you the strength. Because a lot of times faith means that you have the faith that the right person's going to show up at the right time to give you the information or to give you the loan. And so
Yes.
many of us are very secretive. We don't want to share. So
Yes.
we have people in our lives that could step in with that faith and
Yes.
support us. But if we don't share or tell or
Yes.
ask.
Yes. And I am all about living out loud. Like Shay and
Yeah.
I are like this. We're very similar in this way. We are like, this is us, this is who we are. And it's a lot of it has to do with how we were raised, right?
Yeah.
And I was never silenced as a child. I was never silenced, by my family, and my friends were like, couldn't even try if we wanted to. But I was always just told to be bold and to speak your truth and to explain what's going on and talk about it and share it, and you'll be supported. So those are the conversations that I have with myself.
Yes.
And I think it would behoove anyone to if you're not having those conversations with yourself already, that like, the people that I love are going to support me, my friends, my family, my lover, my children. Everything is going to come together. It's going to be in perfect alignment. Like, you can't say anything else.
Right.
You can't.
But now it also
risk
sounds
it.
like that you don't have naysayers in your circle either.
I mean, I don't know. I may, but honey,
You
they
don't
don't.
have
They
to
don't.
listen.
But I think that's what she's saying. She's saying, I'm so strong and determined in my
Yeah.
own self that I'm going to speak my mind. Obviously, I teach speaking my mind even in my home as my daughter continues to talk while we're taping. This is what happens when you're live. Anything can happen when you're working.
No, I love it. I love it. I
It's
love
bring
it.
your daughter to work day.
I love
know,
it.
huh?
I feel like
I'm
we
here
could
for it.
talk for like 500 hours.
Yeah.
What's your I keep getting amused by that. In terms of like starting a business, what was the hardest part for you?
What was the hardest part for me?
Yeah.
So let's let her in. Come on.
We
Come
might
on.
as
Let the
well.
Come
baby
in,
in.
Addie.
I think he may have locked the door.
Oh, we're gonna let the baby in.
I know, huh?
She might get some good testimony right now.
What was the hardest part for you?
The hardest part for me.
Come sit with us real quiet. We're almost done.
We're almost done.
Okay, the hardest part for
The
you?
hardest part for me, and it's so funny, and I still struggle with it, is and I guess it's like this faith and this is trust.
Yeah.
I think I think faith I have, like, I believe it's gonna be okay. I believe it's gonna work. I believe, like, I sleep at night, right? I don't miss sleep. I sleep at night because I feel, but the trust
You
part.
don't have a baby, that's
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Not when I birth myself, but I have some little ones that I love. It's the trust. It's trusting that other people can do a job that I may not be able to do, and they can do it right. So I find myself making all of the flowers. I'll be up until 1:32 in the morning if we have a lot of orders making the flowers myself.
Well, we have to acknowledge that we're almost out of time. So join us next time on Career Talk Bella Style. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so
And thank
grateful
you
for
the
you
flowers
guys.
and to
Yes,
Winter
please
Providence,
enjoy
our
them.
sponsor.
Yes.
This has been great.